Many of the children that we serve arrive in mentorship without a clear sense of who they are, not because they lack personality or talent or potential, but because their early development was shaped by survival. So they endured abuse, neglect, or abandonment and disrupted attachments, and this interrupts that natural process of discovering your interests, your skills, your preferences, and strengths, right? Because when you go out and you explore as a kid, you need a sense of safety first before you go out and have fun. So when you're constantly thinking about your survival and your safety, you don't figure out who you are. You don't figure out what you like. You're not free to play. You're not free to be a kid. You're free only to focus on survival. And when the adults in your life are unpredictable and unsafe, your energy just goes towards staying protected, not exploring who you are. So as a result, many of the children in foster care or adoption, they quietly carry the belief that they're not good at anything or they don't know who they are. So what I want to do today is dive into how we build a sense of self in kids, how we build strengths and confidence, because it might seem easy to get a kid to play, but when they have learned that they need to do what they think you want them to do, or they just don't know what they like, it can actually be pretty difficult to discover a child's interest and a child's strength and build that confidence. So we're going to dive into this today. I'm going to roll that intro and then we'll get started. I'm Rebecca Britt, and this is the Stable Moments Podcast. I started this podcast to understand from all perspectives how we can help end the foster care crisis. The overwhelming response was we need to support our local communities. Unwanted, abandoned, orphaned children are the community's responsibility. We must support, guide, love, invest, raise up generations that will nurture, love, and support their own children to end this crisis. So the purpose of this podcast is to build an army of people that are interested and willing to take responsibility of our foster youth and who are supportive of foster and adoptive families. This is the on-ramp for people who want to get involved but might not know where to start. I want this to be a place where community members feel like they can make a difference, where they feel good enough to make that difference, and believe that they can be a big deal in the life of a child. Thanks for being part of our community. Together, we can end the foster care crisis. Right, welcome back to the Stable Moments Podcast. If you haven't already watched our webinar on what makes Stable Moments different and about our mentorship program, Building Life Skills in Foster and Adopted Youth, that's at stablemoments.com/webinar. I invite you to watch it or send it along to a community-based organization, a church, a school that can implement a Stable Moments program. We have locations all over the United States, but we have way more kids in foster care that need stable trauma-informed mentorship from adults. So launching these programs is our effort to end the foster care crisis. And you can play a role in that simply by sharing a webinar with an organization that you think might be able to start a Stable Moments program. All right, so why does a sense of self matter so much? A healthy sense of self includes knowing what I like and what I don't like, what I'm good at, what feels hard for me, what makes me feel really proud, what makes me feel calm, excited, or curious. There's reasons why kids in elementary school say like, I suck at reading, or I'm not good at math, or I'm really good at math, or I love science, right? It's because they've had time to explore their interests and build their skills. And in other situations, they may realize that they're behind their class or they're not good at it. Maybe they've been reprimanded or maybe they can't keep up with the class. So they learn that's not something that I'm good at. So for children with developmental trauma, this sense of self is often underdeveloped, not because it wasn't possible, but because it wasn't safe or supported while they were very young. And so without this strong sense of self, kids might rely heavily on others' approval. So this is where we get the I suck at reading thing. It's like, I'm going to give it a try, but if I'm not good, or if I can tell that I'm not achieving like my peers, or if I don't get a good response from the adult that's sitting with me, then I'm probably going to associate I'm just not good at this. Or if an adult says, yes, you're so good at this. And we see this with kids that like, let's say a parent that loves piano, and maybe the kid doesn't even like piano, right? But the parent's so insistent on you need to learn piano, and they're like, yes, isn't she great? And they tell all their friends, look at her, play it again for us, honey. And she's like having to sit there and play the piano in front of her parents' friends. And she's getting all of this, you're so good at this, you're so good at this, you're so good at this. So she's relying on other people's approval to tell her what she's good at, but it might not be something that is part of her sense of self. She might be like, I actually don't like piano. So that's important in a sense of self too, to be able to say what doesn't work for you or doesn't light you up or that you don't like, even if it's a strength, even if you're good at it. Okay. They may struggle with confidence in decision making. They may feel disconnected from their own needs. So I don't know who I really am. I don't know really what I like. I don't believe that I'm really good at anything. So advocating for my needs, advocating for what I would like in this situation, that doesn't even exist. I don't even know what I like. I don't even know what feels good to me. I just know what other people say I should like. So that's what we're going to go with. And they don't believe that they have strengths worth noticing. So when you don't believe that you have strengths worth noticing, or you don't believe that you have something special to offer the world, you don't engage in much. You disconnect rather than engage, right? Things that you're good at, things that bring you joy, things that you know you can show off to the world, you engage in, and you engage more and more in it. But the more you believe, like, I guess I'm not valuable, I don't think that I have anything that the world thinks is great, you just disconnect more and more. And that's where we see more escapism. And as people get older, going into video games, going into other addictions, drug addictions, things that will remove us from reality instead of engaging, because we're not getting that feedback that we have strengths to share. And mentorship offers something powerful here, right? A safe relationship where exploration is encouraged and that they're not being criticized, right? We're just exploring, we're just getting curious, we're just seeing what makes us feel a good feeling and learning. And maybe we just become skilled at, like, I know one of my biggest strengths is not knowing how to do things, like being willing to do things that I don't know how to do. I like figuring it out is a big strength of mine. So what a strength to develop in kids, especially when they're like, I don't really want to try this because I think I don't know how to do it and I don't want to be embarrassed. If we can build up, like, I don't know how to do it either. And you know what? The first person that did this or the first person that did that, they didn't know how to do it either. They just kept trying until they figured it out. And that's a huge, huge strength. So having some fun and some identity built around trying, and even being, just constantly encouraging trying and saying, wow, amazing try. Like, the try is the point. The try is the goal, right? Not doing the thing, not accomplishing anything, but trying. And that's so aligned with the stable moments model, because when we are using our color-coded activities and all of that, the point is never to do the activity or to check a box. The point is to develop a relationship, and what did we learn out of that activity, and what was hard and what was easy, and what would we try next time, and what's the discussion we can have, and how did our relationship grow while we did this, right? How did our relationship grow with ourselves? How did it grow with our mentee? How did we get to know ourselves better? So that's like the whole point of the stable moments model, is to be focused on the relationship and have the relationship be the goal. So focusing on trying, focusing on the try, and building the trying and the figuring it out as the strength. That's the strength, right? What we want to do so often as mentors or adults working with kids is we ask, what do you like? We're like, hey, nice to meet you. So excited to learn about you. What are you interested? What do you like? And that's a super well-intentioned question. What are you into? What do you like to do? What are your interests? But this can be really hard for kids who have learned to survive by pleasing adults because it can really give them like a pressure cooker feeling or deer in the headlights of like, what do they want me to say? What's the right answer here? And if the kid has known you for any period of time, you might notice that their answers are things that they think you would like. So if you had already shared that you're into soccer, they might say they're into soccer. And a well-intended adult might go, oh, I love soccer. That's so great. And then you build this whole relationship around soccer. The kid never really cared about it. And this happens with like adults. Like we can meet friends out or meet people out and we build a relationship based on one person's interests. This can happen in love relationships, right? We realize like we start going out with a partner and in the beginning we're like, oh yeah, we love football. And then like, a couple years into the relationship, we're like, I never liked football. Why did I do that? I just did that to show him I'm cool or whatever. So we do this. We do this as adults. It's part of our people pleasing. It's part of our empathy even for us to show up how we think other people want us to show up. But for kids, it's survival. So they may subconsciously, without even knowing, scan you, scan your clothes, scan what you're saying, scan what they think your interests are, your car for bumper stickers to know like what you like and what are the right answers. And when you're asking them like, what do you like? What are you into? They may just reiterate back what you've already told them or what your interests are. And it doesn't mean that they're being dishonest. It just means that they're being adaptive and they have learned to do this to survive. Okay. So one of the most important shifts that mentors can make is moving from extracting answers like, what do you want to do? Or what do you like? Or tell me about yourself, to creating experiences. So instead of relying on the verbal questions, we can help them discover who they are by trying things together, noticing their reactions. So noticing, are they into something? Like maybe you go into an area where there's a bunch of different toys or a bunch of different games and they choose one thing. Maybe they choose doing arts over sports every time. Maybe they choose coloring over painting. Maybe they choose a card game or a math game or a word game like Scrabble over Monopoly. Okay, those are all telling you something that the kid gravitates more towards things that they like. Maybe it's just things that they know, but it's something to notice. Wow, I notice you choose this every time. You're really good at word games. And you can name those strengths in real time and let your curiosity lead. So especially if they're getting frustrated or they're like, never mind, I don't even want to do any of this, or this is stupid, or I told you I wasn't good at this. Like, oh, I was never good at this either, or I'm not really good at this either. Do you want to keep trying to figure it out? And you can try to figure it out together. How might we figure this out? Let's make a plan for this. What do you think it's supposed to feel like? And it's also okay if at the end of the activity, you both just realize like, that was stupid. Like I didn't get anything out of that. I don't really care to do that activity ever again. Now, is it because you tried it once and you failed and you should stick to it because it could be really fun? Right? Like we all know there's my kids get games and I've gotten like boomerang things and different things that I cannot throw for the life of me. I can't get it to come back to me. I think the thing's stupid, right? But then I see my kid go out and chunk it and it comes right back to him and I'm like, that looks super fun. I wish I knew how to do that. So then I ask him like, so that's a good thing. Like maybe there's somebody here that knows how to do this. Maybe we could ask them because we know we're not getting it right, right? And it looks super fun, or it looks like it could be fun if we could figure out how to do it. So maybe we need to ask somebody. So that's making a plan. So if you know that you just need to stick to it until you get it, way better to stick to it and then get good at it and then have that track record of being able to say, boy, this did not start out fun. This did not start out good, but that's like a lot of things in life, right? And we had to work at it until we got it, but we got it. And then it was this big, like, you're so good at this. Now we could possibly teach people how to gain enjoyment out of this activity too. If you realize that, like, we put in the time and we tried, and yeah, it's a boomerang. You throw it, it comes back. It's kind of boring. And I'm not into it. That's good too. That's fine too. That's learning. You know what? I tried something. I gave it a good effort and I'm not into it. I am not into boomerangs. I am not into these word games. I am not into this particular sport or this particular activity. Then that is developing a sense of self as well, because we can all probably pretty easily name things that we don't like. And it might not be because we're not good at them or we didn't try. We just don't like them. And that's part of our sense of self. And we know other people that are so into these things and we don't understand it. Okay, that's what makes us individuals. That is the sense of self. So equally important that we know what we don't like, what we don't enjoy, and what we're good at and is fun. And you can even say, like, is this fun? Because sometimes we get so into, like, figuring out how to throw the boomerang or figuring out how to do the activity. And for a lot of these kids, winning or getting it right is like life or death. Telling them, like, I guess you just didn't figure it out, or I guess you just couldn't do it, can really feel threatening to their nervous system. So they may really want to keep going until they get it right. But if you can come back to, are we having fun? Is this fun? Is this something that you like to do? And they're just like, it's frustrating. I don't figure out, like, use your judgment to decide, are they just trying to get it done to get it done and they're not able to put it aside? Or are they really trying to figure it out and you're going to help them figure it out? Like, this is a judgment, a relationship thing. My point is we can ask, like, is this still fun? Are we still having fun? And we have all been there as adults at some point in our life where we started something, we started an activity. I can think of a time that I was going to have a bonfire on the beach. That sounds fun. And I had, one of my babies was young. Just a little baby. And I got all the stuff down there and we dug out the hole, but it started being really windy. And it was so windy that it was like really hard to get the fire going. And the baby had like snot coming down his face and we were having a hard time like keeping the kids warm. And, we were trying to like get this thing done because you have to rent out these spaces on the beach. And it was a whole dream I had made up in my head of like, we're going to have this bonfire on the beach and roast marshmallows. And I had people in from out of town. So how cool is it to have a beach bonfire? But at some point, somebody said, we should pack it in, this isn't fun. Like, we thought it was going to be fun and it's not fun. So like, are we doing it just to prove, like, just because we have to do it? No. So you can always check in and teach a kid how to check in with ourselves. We started this activity. Is it fun? Is it something that we'd want to do? Is it something we like? Does it bring us enjoyment? And that helps a kid understand in our body, like, why are we doing things and how do we feel about the things we do and what emotions do the activities that we engage in evoke in us? Because then a kid can use that to understand out in the world, are you having fun? Is it something you truly enjoy? Or are you just doing it because society says you should do it, or somebody told you were good at it, or somebody told you had to do it? And so we start to learn, what is fun? What does fun feel like? And do things always need to be fun? No. But at some point we can acknowledge this isn't fun. We're choosing to move forward because we want to figure it out and we think it will be fun, or we're choosing to pack it in because we have a choice to do that. And this is no longer fun for me. Okay, so we have the All About Me activity, and this is such a great activity to do. This is inspired by a dream board, but instead you're going to do a collage with a kid that's a snapshot of who they are, and they may not know. So you're going to do one, the kid's going to do one, your own collages. You have magazines, you have whatever you want to make these collages something that feels like you. So if you're a sparkly person, you might want glitter. If you want some like rough leather stuff, you might have different materials that you put on there. But you're going to look through magazines and what inspires you? You don't need to know anything. Like, I like horses. So I'm going to go right to the horse magazine and find the horse that I want to put on my board. But if you don't know what you like and you're wanting ideas to be jogged for you, then looking through a magazine is a great way, because then you come upon a food layout and it's like, oh, there's pizza, there's salads. I'm going to choose this for my board. This is the one that I think I like. What colors do you like? What animals do you like? What places would you like to travel to? All of these things that say, this is what makes me me. And again, you can just use the magazine to, I think I like it. It looks nice and I'm going to put it on my board, and this is a snapshot of me. What's great is not only is this a snapshot of saying, this is what I like, but it's just a snapshot in time. So you can do this again in 3 months. You can do this again in 6 months or a year and see how that would change. There's at one point that I would probably have put, I don't know, gold jewelry on my thing, and then I would switch to platinum, or rose gold is what I like. So things change, right? Your likes change, and your things that you're good at change. Maybe you add a sport into here. You start playing pickleball. You put that on your board. You get new skills and strengths all the time, and things also fade away over time. So we're allowed to change. We're allowed to choose. Just because we made one identity yesterday doesn't mean we need to keep it. So this is what we're modeling for the kids that we are mentoring, okay? And we can say things like, man, you really know what you like, or you're being very thoughtful about your choices, or I'm really happy that you stuck with this activity until you really got it till it feels right, and you filled it up with things that all represent you. And it might have taken us 3, 4, 5 sessions, and we had to call in new magazines, and we needed to find our resources and all of that. But you are worth the time it takes to build. You are not an activity that we have to get done in 45 minutes. You are not an activity that we need to, or a person that we need to find in the 5 magazines we have. We are going to take the time. We are going to find the resources so that your piece of paper really speaks to you and you're proud of it at the end of the day, okay? Another thing we can do is catch strengths in the moment. So one of our most powerful tools that we have is labeling things, right? Narrating things, noticing, naming strengths as they naturally show up. So you could be playing an activity where you're playing catch, and you could just sit there and throw catch. Or you could be like, wow, you've caught it 2 out of the last 3 times. Or, wow, you've got a really strong throwing arm. You stuck with that even when it got hard. You're really thoughtful about your choice of words. You're a really great reader. Catch things you can tell kids all the time that they're doing that's great, so that they are hearing that they are good at things, that you do notice positive things about them, things that they might think that they're not good for whatever reason. They do more than boost confidence. They help children organize information about themselves. And over time, those moments, those affirmations accumulate into their internal story. Maybe I am good at things, or maybe there is more to just survival mode. Maybe there's fun, right? Maybe there's things that I want to choose and I want to engage in. So let strengths be small and real. Strength development doesn't have to mean talents or big achievements, okay? Many kids have strengths in creativity, in being curious. Wow, you were really curious about that. I love your sense of wonder. Humor, you are so funny. You are just a hoot. I love it when we get together. You always make me laugh. Physical energy, how many kids are constantly condemned for how much energy they have? Calm down, chill out. Okay, we need to regulate our bodies. Okay, right? So they might feel really badly about their physical energy. So us being like, wow, you have so much energy, and channeling that into something that is positive and showing them how they can use that in a way that's actually building a strength, like playing a sport. Or I know my 6-year-old likes to just work. He likes to mop things. He'll mop the whole front deck, or he'll build things, and he just wants to be moving his body, and he has a lot of physical energy. And if we don't put that into work and stuff that he can do positive, he is not able to just chill. Okay. Problem solving. You are so good at, like, I had no clue how you were going to do that, honestly. And to be honest, I didn't think you were going to get it done, but you got it done and you taught me something. You're just a really good problem solver. Their empathy for animals, you can tell them, wow, you're really sweet to that animal. You really took the time to care for them and tell them how they felt. Their persistence. Wow. You are persistent. And this could be even good if a kid keeps asking for something that they're not supposed to have. And yes, you're still setting that boundary, but you can tell them that their persistence is a strength. Wow, you are persistent. That will work good for you someday. Today, we still can't do the thing that you're asking, but I appreciate your persistence. And then sensitivity, noticing, reference my own kid again, but if he sees a injured bird or something on the side of the road while we're driving by, and he's like, I want to stop and help it, and he's still thinking about that bird 15 minutes later, 20, an hour later, telling him, wow, you are so sensitive to the feelings of others, and that's so sweet of you. And, just letting them know that it's a real strength to be sensitive and to have feelings for others. And that it's really nice when we're the ones that are hurt, when other people feel for us too. And just let them know to keep that's a real strength. When we broaden the term strengths and we allow all of these things to be strengths, then more children can see themselves reflected, and you have more opportunities to catch strengths in action. The thing is, children don't discover who they are alone. They discover who they are in relationship. And this is relationship with their attachment figures, relationship with Department of Children and Families, relationship with their foster parents, their adoptive parents, with their teachers at school, with their mentors, with anybody that engages with them. They are discovering who they are in the world, okay? And when a mentor can consistently show curiosity without pressure, reflect strengths without exaggeration, honor changes in preferences, and separates their worth from their performance, then children slowly begin to trust their own inner experience. They learn that they don't have to guess what you want, that they don't have to be impressive, and they don't have to earn their sense of belonging, right? Because we're all honored for our individual differences, strengths, talents, and we all add value. So the long-term impact of this is that a strong sense of self, it impacts healthy boundaries, kids being able to say, actually, I don't like that, or this isn't fun for me, and has those healthy boundaries instead of getting in these relationships where they pretend to like football, they pretend to do a lot of things for a lot of people. And of course, there's much more adverse examples of this. And then they are stuck in that cycle and that pattern. It can help with emotional regulation, right? They're getting frustrated, maybe because they're filling their life with things other people said that they are good at, or they're constantly feeling like they're not good at things when they're good at a lot of things. So this can help with emotional regulation when they get that good sense of self, decision making, resilience, being able to stick to things, identity development, and having confidence in their own relationships when they're able to build a relationship on a strong sense of identity and self and worth. So by helping children notice their strengths and their interests today, you're supporting their ability to navigate their adulthood tomorrow. And you don't have to teach a child who they are. You simply have to notice, name, and make space for them to be the amazing kid that they already are. And this is how you say, I see you. All right. Stable Moments is built on building relationships. And we start with self-worth and self-confidence because we believe that is the underlining foundation for any other life skills that you're going to learn, right? You need to have a sense of self-worth. You need to believe that you matter. So building strengths is what we're here to do. And it's not any particular activity that's going to do this. This is just interactions that you're going to have moment to moment in your sessions. So I hope that this was helpful for you. If you haven't yet, go ahead and watch our free webinar or send it to somebody that will launch a Stable Moments program. That's at stablemoments.com/webinar. Until next time, thank you for being a big deal in the life of a child.